Welcome to another Maz Play video. This is Maz Mojito, and today we're going to be getting into another city builder strategy survival building game, and it's going to be the pilot episode. We're playing New Cycle. Let's get to it. All right, guys, so we're getting started here with New Cycle. This is a game that I have well over 20 hours in playing. Pretty fun game, especially if you like the colony management style games. So the gist is, as you can see, I started off with the menu, and this first couple minutes here, we're going to be just focused on talking about the game, so you won't really hear any background music until later. But the gist is you get a brand new colony. You're starting off in a new area. You can choose whether you want to start off in the tundra area or the forest area. I chose the forest area. There are pretty much resources all around you. You start off with a gathering town center almost, and then you're gonna have to start putting down different buildings that do different functions. So in this case, we have gathering camps where you pretty much put them next to your main building, and they will gather trees or mushrooms or whatever is within their circle of influence. So as you can see, as I'm moving around, some of the areas have trees. The only thing here that will be that this gathering camp can get is pretty much mushrooms, and there's quite a few other style of plants. So that's what the gathering camp's going to do. The field camp is going to be used to actually gather lumber. So you want to put that in areas where there's quite a bit of trees, and you can kind of see the tree symbols are circled all over the place, but they're really going to limit themselves to gathering within the circle around that field camp. These buildings do not have to be right up next to your main town center, but eventually what you do want to do is put them in a decent wooded area so they can get as much lumber as possible, and then just build roads to link to your main camp. So we're going to find a good spot for this, because without lumber is very important in this game. You'll get to the point where you have too much lumber, but your resources are shown at the top of the screen, and they have your basic ones: wood, stone, food. Eventually you'll be able to get iron and other minerals out of the ground. But more importantly, you also want to look for areas that have sources of water, which will be a specific well building that you'll be using to draw that water up. So what we're going to be doing is just kind of scanning around, looking for good places to put our field camps down. I do recommend you pause the game when you're doing all this kind of stuff, because it'll just keep going real time. And this is the kind of game that your survivors will start dying if you don't get them enough resources, food, shelter, and everything. So next couple moments, just kind of scanning around, looking to see what's available to us resource wise, and then we'll go ahead and drop those buildings. Okay, so with us getting our wood gathering points set up, The next thing we're going to need is obviously we'll need a well to find the water spots to gather that water, but we'll also need a lumber mill because we're going to need the lumber mill to process all that wood that's coming in. The water situation, and I'm going to go ahead and play the game here to get my people out and work in the fields, but the water situation here is interesting, and you will have these little cutscenes, very Frostpunk like, where you'll have to make decisions based on the demands of your colonists or your people. Most of it is usually targeted goals. They'll say, you know, hey, they're hungry, or they need wood, or they want some houses, and you pretty much just they give you a certain amount of time to meet those demands of your colonists. Those are examples of iron resources. As you can see, there's kind of a bluish white rock. So we're gonna go ahead and put a gathering camp up there. Again, you don't have to have your gathering camps really close to your town center. You can link everything with roads, but even without roads, your workers will still walk all the way out to the gathering camp to get resources. It just takes a little longer for them to get there. Water in this game is interesting. You will run into a lot of times where you have drought, or you have really bad storms, or you know the snow comes in, and the water resources will kind of shift around the map. Some areas that were very heavy with water that your well was able to draw up will dry up pretty quick, and you will have to move your well to new spots or build new wells while you demolish the ones that are no longer useful, or in areas where there's just not enough water to pull from anymore. So we get these challenges because we are doing kind of a tutorial mode early on in the first stage. Once you get past a certain point, the tutorial will turn off, but it kind of helps you guide through the process. We're on day 11 right now, as you can see off to the left side. I like to play at fast speed, but I also like to pause quite a bit just because I don't want people dying on me or doing things while I'm trying to just plan out my town. So you'll see me use that pause pretty heavily, and not only this game, but a lot of the building style games that allow you to pause, speed up, and play regular speed. So we got the initial foundations going. We got our lumber caps going. Again, you will have to assign workers to each of these different gathering points. That's why you have a picture of a guy with a plus symbol, and you just kind of add the workers. You have different levels of workers on here, from your lower tier workers to your more specialized engineer type workers, all the way up to your more advanced workers. Now the tier will designate what kind of building they can work in, or where they can kind of help increase efficiency and all that in certain buildings. So we are now in winter, and as you can see, I have the music popped on right now, but this is pretty much how the music is going to be through the whole game. Just a very classical, chill type vibe. But the whole point is just run your town. I got my power system going. I use a lot of windmills in this game, but this is kind of it's a weird steampunk style game. So you're going to see a lot of the elements that you're used to seeing in like a Frostpunk and other games like this. So as you can see, the early stages, you're just kind of basically starting off with your small town, but eventually you'll get to a mid-sized town like I have now. You do have development trees in this game, so you're constantly looking through and unlocking the next level skills. And when you unlock those next level specialties or techniques, that also unlocks the buildings and the resources that's tied to that skill or that development area. So we got quite a few things to unlock, but and they all take a certain amount of time, game time to do. Game time goes pretty quick here. But yeah, there's a nice progression system in this game. And like I said, I have over 20 hours in this game. I got pretty far down the progression path. I don't even know if I have anything left to unlock after about 20 hours, but just looking around, you will get end of the year reports, see how you're doing. The circles there are pretty much highlighting the power areas. As you zoom out, there's actually a pretty big full map here. You can see all these different zones that you can send scouts out to explore. And once they explore those areas, you can build in those provinces. You can look at the points of interest, which are pretty much going to be question marks, but you can send your scouts there and different teams. So it's a pretty big game in terms of options as far as building your town. We're starting off in a very small region, but these are other areas that I'm sending my scouts daily to go check out, remove the fog of war, and unlock whatever resources are there. So as you can see, looking at the information, day 253 is where I'm at. Like I said early on, started off just to give you an idea how the game flows, but now I'm starting to get caught up to real time where I'm at about roughly over 15 hours later. This is pretty much what my city is looking like right now. So we're gonna keep going. We got our specialties there. We got our lower workers, our mid-range workers, and then our high-level workers there. The lady with the braid as far as her image. And yeah, everyone's staying busy and producing for the town. And as you can see in the bottom left, we have the two tabs. That's what I just showed you. Those are our scouts. Those are the ones that are outside of the area, continuing to explore new zones and bring more resources into the town through trade routes. So this is a very useful part of the game too, the overview and reports. Here you can get pretty much all the information you need on the progress of your colony, whether it is workforce conditions, healthcare, water distribution, food distribution. You can look at all your people that live here to see if they have the basic things they need. How is their health doing? Do they have the services they need? If something is red, that means that's a service that they don't have right now. But the first icon being housing, second one entertainment, third one being health with the little circle and a cross. So there's so many things that you can look at in this game just to make sure that everything is running efficiently and smoothly. Here's my resource tab. I can make sure I got all the materials I need coming in. I have a max capacity limit for each of these things, and it tells me how I'm doing storage wise on that max capacity. So the overview and report section is very useful. This is the region area. This is that outer map where you can kind of see my scouts going around and unlocking new zones. It gives you some reports on those. You can actually assign workers to those different scout regions so that they can work on bringing in new materials to your camp. So Just quite a bit of information out there. You can see my development tree is really progressing along. We got 2 watchtowers being built because I told them to build it in that screen. But yeah, this is how we're looking. We are looking at the bottom right, spring year 8. And then we have quite a few messages off to the right side as well. Those are really kind of like the little side missions that your townsfolk have asked for, like a maintenance building. You constantly get new people coming into your town. That is what I just showed you there was the wind flow. You can see the 3 little swirly lines. Gives you a good idea the best places to put your windmill, as you can see in the upper left. As you move your windmill around, it tells you if that's a good spot or not as far as giving you the most power efficiency. But you do constantly need a lot of power in this game, so always want to keep an eye on how we're doing, and that's that overview and reports will give you a good idea how you're doing power wise. So we're gonna pop those down. Again, the game is paused, that's why you don't see any activity, but then I unpause it and keep things at a speedy level and let people go to town as far as working on the things I've told them to do. So once again, so many reports in this game. If you're a fan of Anno, especially Anno 1800, this very much reminds me of that reporting system. You can kind of see your inbound and your outbound goods, how your resources are going, how your money flow is going. This pretty much has a lot of those same elements as far as the stats and the details as far as your city's progression. So we're going to constantly keep an eye on our development tree. I always want to make sure that something is being developed, and you could tell because it has a nice little spinning activity circle, as you can see with switches and circuits. And it'll tell you that that particular thing is currently being developed. I always want to make sure that my scouts are out exploring, that I get rid of all the fog of war. Looking at my main overview, looks like my health and attraction levels are in the red, so I definitely need to get those up. But overall, my people are happy. I have 141 workers and a couple craftsmen as well. Railway and routes, that is definitely something that will be unlocked as well once I explore it, but that will link the towns outside of this main area so that we can get the delivery of goods a lot faster from the farther out provinces and stuff that we've discovered. We do have situations just like in Frostpunk. Buildings do get on fire. You do have to have like some firefighters. You do have to have security. It is a very micromanagement style city manager game, so you definitely got to be on top of all those things. But I really like this exploration option because it really gives us some more resources to bring into the town. Okay, so I hope I gave you a good gist of how the game is. We've done quite a bit in this short amount of time, but we're gonna go ahead and put a bookmark in the video at this point. Come back and continue to explode this town, make it even bigger and more efficient. and then see how our growth options are. So as usual, I would like to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. Please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe because it really helps out the channel. And we will see you in the next video.